The BRSCC BMW Compact Cup is brought to you by Nankang Tyres and Gas Shocks.
Welcome back to Brands Hatch, where preparations are well underway for round 2 of the BMW Compact Cup. Anthony's down in the assembly area speaking to Phil Adcock, whose weekend didn't get off to the best of starts.
Phil, the car's looking a bit second-hand. Talk us through it.
Well, I'd like to say it's a heroic dive into paddock, an epic duel, but it's unfortunately the first lap of qualifying. Tyres were cold, just overcooked it. Very slow motion, very slow roll, and yeah, next thing I'm upside down. Hanging.
Other than no glass in the car, it doesn't look too badly damaged.
These cars are great. I mean, and I've got Andy Ward to support me. Absolutely fantastic. But great. At the back though, the wind unfortunately catches it. So it's like a sailboat now.
Yeah.
So I'm 10 miles an hour slower than yesterday.
Well, we'll see how Phil gets on over the course of this, the second race of the weekend. The drivers line up on the grid for this one, the same way in which they finished race number 1. So reigning champion Steve Daly is back on pole position alongside Owen Hunter. He will look to continue his dice with Ian Jones, who starts on road 2 with Matt Parks. David May is impressing on road 3 with Paul Hinson, ahead of Liam McGill and Gordon McMillan. Tom Griffiths and Mark Skeets round out the top 10, ahead of Keith Towers, and Ben Huntley looking to improve. David Chapman is 13th alongside Chris Hack on the 7th row. Then it's Wayne Flint and Colin Edmond, ahead of Craig Jameson and Mikey Doble. Then it's Aaron Morgan, Mike Doble, David Ashforth and Matt Flowers, Martin Gadsby and Brendan Murphy making up the 12th row of the grid. Then Simon Welch, Nick Edmond, James Stanbury, Phil Adcock, Alan Caulfield and Craig Arkell are towards the tail end of this mammoth field that's rounded out by Andrew Woodbine, Colin Way and retirement for race 1, Colin Sharp. So another 15 minutes of action about to get underway. The red lights are on, they go out. Now, away we go. Good start made by Stephen Daly from the front row of the grid. Not a great start made by a few drivers a little bit further back. We'll see how they fare on the run up towards Paddock Hill Bend, on board with David Chapman as he tries to dive up the inside of Chris Hack. But race 1 winner Steve Daly has held on to the race lead. Owen Hunter is 2nd, Jones there in 3rd. 4th place looks to be Matt Park, so they've got away in grid order towards the sharp end. Paul Hinson there going around the outside of David May, and Mark Skeets and Gordon McMillan are side by side just in front of our onboard camera, Keith Towers. That though in the black and yellow car is Paul Hinson, who gets elbowed out wide at Druids, and he will lose ground as a result. Out of Graham Hill Bend we go for the first time, down the Cooper Straight, which is actually anything but straight. There's a big kink in it. But back there we see the yellow car with no windscreen or windows, in fact, on any 4 sides of the car. That's Phil Adcock recovering from his qualifying shunt. Up at the front of the field, it looks as though Steve Daly is starting to pull a little bit of a gap. Back on board with Keith Towers. Oh, and off into the tyre wall go Mark Skeets and Gordon McMillan. Didn't quite catch what happened there. The two of them made contact though and both speared off to the left into the tyre wall. Skeets' car is embedded in the tyre wall. Gordon McMillan's car perhaps just beached in the gravel trap. But either way, both drivers out of the race immediately. Well, that is not the ideal start that we wanted. A couple of our top 10 runners in trouble early on, but that opens up the door perhaps for a few drivers who've been struggling this weekend to make their move towards the front. There goes Paul Hinson trying to make a move towards the front, but that will be put on stop because the red flag is out, and that means the race is being neutralised. So the drivers will have to bring their cars around onto the grid, ready for a full race restart. Well, that is a shame then that we had that shunt with Mark Skeets and Gordon McMillan, 2 of our expected front runners this season, having really shown improved pace last year. both in the pit lane and both into retirement. We are ready for a restart though. Original grid positions stand, so it's Daly again on the front row of the grid with Owen Hunter, and away we go, and Ben Huntley goes nowhere. Oh, Ben Huntley's slightly miserable weekend has now become very miserable indeed with a poor start. Dave Chapman wasn't that rapid away either, so there's going to be a few quick drivers to watch for, trying to fight back after slightly sluggish starts. At the front of the field, Daly leads from Jones. Ian Jones through into second place, so he's made the most of that restart to leapfrog ahead of Owen Hunter. Paul Hinson and Matt Park side by side, as that is unfortunately Liam McGill getting elbowed out wide, possibly after contact with David May. We feel plunge down now towards Graham Hill Bend. Oh, sparks flying from underneath Owen Hunter's car. That was spectacular, as the inside of the wheels just catches on the outer edge of the curb. Owen Hunter will not be best pleased to have lost out to Ian Jones here, but he looks up the inside in towards clearways, and exactly as he did in race 1, I think he's going to make this move stick. He did exactly the same thing to Jones in the first race, and although the move isn't yet complete, you would imagine that Hunter with the inside line towards Paddock Hill Bend is more than likely going to go through into second place. This is all absolute music to the ears of Steve Daly, the race leader, who can look in his mirrors and see the cars behind him all too busy squabbling with each other to be able to close in on him. Look, you can see Daly getting away from Hunter now into second, Jones back down to third, and they've both been caught by Paul Hinson, who's made a much better fist of the second attempt at starting this race than he did the first time. It wasn't a bad start from Hinson the first time around. Bear in mind he started 6th, so he's been able to leapfrog past 2 cars on this restart. Back out of Graham Hill Bend, along the Cooper Straight they go again. It's Matt Parks there in 5th. David May continuing this real upswing in performance since the end of last season. He had a couple of decent results towards the end of 2017, did David May. And he looks like he's really now bringing that through into 2018 and converting that potentially into a couple of really, really positive results to start the season. He was 5th in race 1. He's just outside the top 2 at the moment in race 2, but there's time yet for him to regain that ground. On board with Keith Towers there as he comes across the line. Further back, that's Wayne Flint doing battle, heading up towards the first corner, which they will turn into momentarily. The leaders are already there, and they are just starting to string out a little bit at the very sharp end of the field. There goes Wayne Flint. Chris Hack there, the orange and black car, a couple of cars further back, also one to watch. He was starting to trouble the top 10 towards the end of last season and did so again this morning before falling down to 14th by the end, but he was a little bit quicker than that result would suggest. Keith Towers, meanwhile, has his wing mirrors full of the very impressive newbie, Liam McGill. And if Liam can perform this well on his debut in the championship, imagine how quick he'll be with a few rounds under his belt. Brief on board there with Dave Chapman. We're now following the fight for 4th place between Paul Hinson and Mark Skeets as they make their way out of clearways, back through Clark Curve. David May is not far behind them either as they streak across the line, nose to tail. This is standard racing really for the Compact Cup. It's always close, it's always competitive, and the midfield scraps in particular are very, very entertaining indeed. At the front of the field, Stephen Daly is starting to stamp his authority on this race. In fact, the top 3 are fairly well spaced out. The battle for 4th is where the race is at the moment, and that is Paul Hinson making a welcome return to the series, hopefully full-time this year. He did do all of the rounds last year. He's really looking to try and build a good campaign in 2018. Turns his way through Graham Hill Bend. Matt Parks in behind him, slithers out wide over the exit curb, but that seemed to be a good exit for Parks. Paul Hinson certainly thought so, because he moved over to the middle of the road to defend before jumping back over to the racing line in towards Surtees. That's definitely a quicker way through the corner. Will he feel the need to defend into clearways? I think he did. The middle of the road approach again is taken by Paul Hinson in the number 25 car. So for the time being, Mark Skeets can't get through. Right, we're on board with Dave Chapman, who didn't get a great start, but his fight back has begun, and he has closed up onto the tail of the car in front. And that is Chris Hack, the orange number 32 car. Dave Chapman was 13th in the first race, so he finished 1 position ahead of Chris Hack, so he should feel that he's able to gain that place for too much longer. Oh, Aaron Morgan there, losing position to the recovering Ben Huntley. Ben Huntley, who, remember, we spoke to at the start of the day, and I really expected Ben to be a threat for a podium, maybe even race wins here at Brands Hatch. But his weekend hasn't quite panned out the way that he expected, or that many of us expected, and that bad start at the restart of this race has not helped his cause one bit. He is, though, starting to pick his way through. The number 23 car there, you can see on screen, is David Ashforth. He's going to be one of his next targets. So too will be Mike Doble in the 65 car. As further up the order, we have a change for 4th place. Matt Parks is ahead of Paul Hinson. So Matt Parks has prized the door open and found a way through. Can Hinson fight back on the way towards Paddock Hill Bend, though? He's in the slipstream. He's close enough potentially to have a look at the inside, and he does. Paul Hinson launches to the inside at Paddock Hill Bend. What a move that was. Does he run wide on the exit, though? Yes, he does. And so Matt Parks will get a better run out of the corner. That gives in the inside line for Druids, and the place changes hands for the 3rd time in 3 corners. This is what Compact Cup racing is all about. Brilliant stuff right the way through the field. This is for 4th place, and Matt Parks finally has secured the position. Now, can he pull away and potentially do anything about the 3 in front? But at the very least, he'll be trying to consolidate that 4th place and hope that David May there in the white and blue car with the orange wheels starts applying enough pressure to the back of Paul Hinson that Paul turns from attack to defence, which seems to be the case. He's defending into clearways there. David May is starting to have a look around, see if he can find a way through. Hinson a bit wide there, out of Clark Curve and into clearways, but that doesn't quite open the door for David May at this particular moment. That was a brilliant dice there between Hinson and Parks, excuse me. Towers there with Liam McGill still breathing down his neck, and also the pair of them, I think, being caught now by the silver car of Wayne Flint, who's started to make an escape from the trio of cars dicing behind him. Speaking of trios of cars dicing, Parks, Hinson and May battle rages on up at Druids, and David May uses a lot of curb. He's really enjoying being at the sharp end of the field again, I think, isn't he, David May? And if you can keep this up, then he could be on for a really good championship position come the end of the season. That is a long way away, though. He gets a good look up the inside of Hinson down the back straight there, couldn't quite do it. Meanwhile, back at the sharp end, Owen Hunter and Ian Jones still battling over this 2nd place, but you can see that, as we saw in race 1, their fighting is allowing Stephen Daly to pull away and to pull a decent gap at the front of the field. So Stephen Daly is rather enjoying having this clean air around him, I'm sure. Stephen is one of those drivers that enjoys the racing, he enjoys the battling as well, and he enjoys that almost as much, if not more, than just running away off into the distance. I'm sure that he would appreciate the fact that Owen Hunter and Ian Jones are nearly as quick as him, but he'd probably quite like them to be a little bit quicker to give him a real race here at Brands Hatch. Stephen, as we heard him say, reckons that maybe some of the tracks later on this year, other drivers may be quicker. Wait and see. Certainly Stephen's always gone well on the short, sharp circuits, Brands Hatches and Silverstones, places that I guess remind him a bit of home, because Stephen learned his craft racing at Knockhill in Scotland, his homeland, and was a former Scottish BMW Compact Cup champion before making the move over to the UK series. And those short, sharp, undulating circuits rather remind him of Knockhill, I guess. Here's David Chapman. He's starting to apply the pressure now to the next car in front of him, which is Craig Jameson, who's had a good start. Craig Jameson's first half of the race at least has gone rather well. He's been able to make quite a bit of ground up. Chapman, though, will try to find a way through. Oh, that's Phil Sharp getting out of the way of Stephen Daly. Phil, remember, deposited himself into the gravel trap at Paddock Hill Bend in race 1. And that brought out an early safety car. He was the only retirement, in fact, from our first race. And thus far, in this one, it is only Mark Skeets and Gordon McMillan who have retired from race 2 as well. Although actually we believe that Tom Griffiths did not take a restart either, so possibly lost a few. Here's Phil Adcock enjoying a rather breezy experience, one would imagine, with no windows on the car, as Owen Hunter enjoys a very close experience there with Phil Sharp, who was doing his best to get out of the way and allow the 2nd place battle to put a lap on him. But there's only so much room you can give another driver through McLaren and clearways. Here's Dave Chapman. He's also encountering a bit of slow traffic here with a car that's managed to flick its hazards on. He gets up the inside of it and also gets up the inside of Craig Jameson very nearly. I don't think he's quite going to be able to get the inside line towards Paddock Hill Bend, though, is it? Because the momentum is on the outside line for Craig Jameson. But Dave Chapman continues to get stuck into the fun in midfield. Hunter and Jones still dicing over 2nd place, and Ian Jones fancies his chances of getting this position back. Actually, he's alongside on the run down towards Graham Hill Bend. Hunter just eases over to the racing line. Hunter then runs wide at Graham Hill Bend, though, and so Ian Jones is quicker off the corner, looks to the inside, Hunter closes the door, looks to the outside, Hunter closes the door. And Ian Jones, frustratedly, still can't quite find a way through. Up through Surtees they go, back in towards the end of another lap. Owen Hunter with Ian Jones latched right onto his rear bumper. I think we're going to have quite a lot of fun watching these two this year. On their day, they're capable of challenging Stephen Daly, but even on the days where Daly runs away with it, these two are going to be evenly matched. There's some great banter in the paddock between the pair of them as well. They get on really well away from the circuit, as do most of the compact drivers, it must be said. But on the track, we can see in this race and in the first race earlier on today that Owen Hunter and Ian Jones are very, very evenly matched, and they're going to provide us with some excellent racing, I think, as the year goes on. Providing us with some excellent racing as this race goes on, aren't they? With Owen Hunter unable to escape from Ian Jones. It's Jones this time who throws up the sparks as he just runs a bit wide there over the curb and the AstroTurf out of Graham Hill Bend. To be careful about track limits doing that. Towards the the end of the lap they go, and Jones looking to the inside there of Owen Hunter. Thought he might have had a go there at repaying the favour. That's where Hunter has passed Owen Jones in both of the races today in near identical fashion. Back on board with David Chapman now, heading up towards the end of another lap. There's more back markers in front of us. Which way do we go? Outside, inside, middle? We're going to cut to the inside there, or where there's going to be very little room indeed. Oh no, contact with Andrew Woodbine, and Andrew Woodbine is spun across the nose of the former MX5 race winner. And well, Woodbine comes off worst in a way, in that he's pointing the wrong way, but Dave Chapman was fighting for positions inside the top half of the field there, and he has lost several positions as a result of that contact. There's nowhere really, I guess, that Woodbine could go, but he could have possibly left a bit more room at the inside. Either way, David Chapman won't be best pleased with that. Matt Parks won't be best pleased with the fact that he still can't find a way back past Paul Hinson. David May is now ahead of the pair of them, isn't he? So we've had a bit of changing there. David May has got himself past both Parks and Paul Hinson into 4th place. Some great stuff this from David May. I don't think there's anything he can do about the podium places, but nonetheless, 4th place will become his best ever finish in the championship. Back on board with Dave Chapman, as if he didn't have enough to worry about. There's now a bit of moisture appearing on the windscreen, back markers ducking and diving this way and that. Well, Dave Chapman's debut in the Compact Cup has certainly been entertaining. It's given us lots to talk about. It would be great to see him back again later on in the season if possible, because there's no doubt that when he's on the pace, Dave Chapman has the potential to be up there fighting for race victories in pretty much any category he chooses to race in. It's just about experience. He's had very little testing prior to this weekend. He's not far behind Ben Huntley, who was a regular front runner last season, so it shows the potential performance there is there for Dave. He just dives to the outside of the back marker up towards Druids, which doesn't exactly jump out of his way. That's Colin Edmund, and in fact I think that's because that's actually for position. Colin Edmund is on the lead lap, so I stand corrected. Edmund has no need whatsoever to get out of the way here of Chapman. Chapman now does get up the inside, coming out of Graham Hill Bend and down the Cooper Straight, and I think he'll make that move stick, as just in front of him looked like Ben Huntley had gained a position as well. More spots of moisture there on the camera lens at Paddock Hill Bend. Stephen Daly will be well used to that though, all of his experience racing up north of the border, and he's now just over half a lap away from the perfect start to the new season. A race win in race 1 with a fastest lap. He set the fastest lap in this race as well earlier on at 57.8, which was about 3/10 slower than race 1, which shows the conditions haven't been quite as favourable. Nonetheless, Stephen Daly has been in a class of his own so far in this weekend. Here come Ian Jones and Owen Hunter. They're side by side, and Jones is up the inside in towards Surtees. Owen Hunter gets hung out to dry over the grass, gathers it all together. Can he hold on to the position though? Up through clearways they go. Jones on the dirty side of the road can't keep his foot in it, and so despite a last gasp effort, Owen Hunter will come home second. Stephen Daly though comes home a double race victor, maximum points taken by the Scot from the opening rounds here at Brands Hatch. Owen Hunter comes home second with Ian Jones in third. David May is fourth, Matt Parks is fifth ahead of Paul Hinson. Liam McGill gets 2 solid top 10 results on his debut ahead of Keith Towers, Wayne Flint and Chris Hack. Mikey Doble is 11th ahead of Ben Huntley 12th. Craig Jameson and Dave Chapman are 13th and 14th, with Mike Doble in 15th place. We had the majority of the majority of the starters get to the finish of race 1. In race 2 we lost a few. James Stanbury was a late retirement. Tom Griffiths, Gordon McMillan and Mark Skeets, they were all out before the restart, whilst Phil Sharp was excluded for a technical infringement. So what does that mean for the championship standings? Well, unsurprisingly, Stephen Daly is the points leader by 8 points over Hunter in second and Jones in third. Parks is fourth ahead of a very, very impressive David May in fifth.
I can't be much happier with that. I'd just like to say on behalf of my sponsors, thank you very much. Edinburgh Paving and Landscaping, Production Glass Fibres, Casey Motorsport, everyone that's involved in my racing is literally, that's the reason I'm here, so I can't be more thankful from it. If it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't be racing at all. So I'm really happy with that. As for the wins, I'm ecstatic about that, but this is, Brands Hatch is my favourite, as I've said to everyone this weekend. And when it comes to the flatter tracks, I'm scared that Ian Jones and Owen Hunter are going to come straight up to the back of me, even take the lead off me. I mean, that's the way it is. These guys are carrying serious pace this year, and that's excellent for the series.
Yeah, so I bet you were happy when you looked in your mirrors and saw them squabbling.
Yeah, I mean, I looked in three laps in. I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh, they are fighting a little bit. So I thought this is good news. So I just kind of conserved my tyres right until the end, and just kept it consistent and walked away with the win.
Congratulations, go and enjoy it.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Owen Hunter, second place again. But what a fight you had with Ian.
Yeah, I mean, I managed to pull off the same move. I know Ian's a bit old, so he forgets things, and I was able to pull off the same move. But yeah, superb fight as ever with Ian. He always sticks to the back of you, and I managed to shake him sometimes, but it didn't really amount to anything because he just was straight back on me. But yeah, it's brilliant.
He nearly returned the favour.
He did, yeah, but I wised up to it a bit. He was better, probably 2/3 of the circuit, and I managed to just pull away on the last section, so it was a bit of a seesaw race, but luckily I managed to pull it in my favour.
Is there a point where you've got to stop squabbling with Ian and concentrate on trying to catch Stephen?
Yeah, I had to think about that just after the race. I might consider that at Snetterton. Yeah, I might a bit bored of second now, so I might try and push on for first. But yeah, no, it's Steve's been superbly fast all weekend, so it's just got to push on and try and beat him.
Steve was saying he's scared to death of you two at Snetterton.
Well, if we get close, we certainly won't hang about. So yeah, we'll see. We'll go from there.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
And what a battle you've had all weekend with Owen.
Yeah, brilliant weekend. Couldn't ask for any more. I hope the rest of the year is going to be close racing like today. That's what it's all about.
You nearly got him back going up clearways.
Nearly, but not quite. Next time, hopefully.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Well, that wraps things up from here at Brands Hatch. Stephen Daly leaves the opening rounds of the championship a double race victor. However, the rest of the pack will be snapping at his heels next time out at Snetterton. Make sure you join us so as not to miss any of the action.